I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. Love never dies a natural death. It dies because we don't know how to replenish its source. It dies of blindness and errors and betrayals. It dies of illness and wounds. It dies of weariness, of witherings, of tarnishings. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. I'm the one that's got to die when it's time for me to die, so let me live my life the way I want to. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Death ends a life, not a relationship. Death's got an invisibility cloak. Harry interrupted again. So he can sneak up on people, said Ron. Sometimes he gets bored of running at them, flapping his arms and shrieking. I don't care. Harry yelled at them, snatching up a lunoscope and throwing it into the fireplace. I've had enough. I've seen enough. I want out. I want it to end. I don't care anymore. You do care, said Dumbledore. He had not flinched or made a single move to stop Harry demolishing his office. His expression was calm, almost detached. You care so much you feel as though you will bleed to death with the pain of it. It is a curious thing, the death of a loved one. We all know that our time in this world is limited, and that eventually all of us will end up underneath some sheet, never to wake up. And yet it is always a surprise when it happens to someone we know. It is like walking up the stairs to your bedroom in the dark and thinking there is one more stair than there is. Your foot falls down through the air, and there is a sickly moment of dark surprise as you try and readjust the way you thought of things. A thing is not necessarily true because a man dies for it. It is said that your life flashes before your eyes just before you die. That is true, it's called life. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. I don't want to die without any scars. When he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night, and pay no worship to the garish Sunday. My dear, find what you love and let it kill you. Let it drain you of your all. Let it cling onto your back and weigh you down into eventual nothingness. Let it kill you and let it devour your remains. For all things will kill you, both slowly and fastly, but it's much better to be killed by a lover. Falsely yours. Unbeing dead isn't being alive. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, "Wow, what a ride." It kills me sometimes how people die. Life is for the living. Death is for the dead. Let life be like music, and death a note unsaid. You'll stay with me until the very end, said James. I go to seek a great perhaps. Things we lose have a way of coming back to us in the end, if not always in the way we expect. That was the thing. You never got used to it, the idea of someone being gone. Just when you think it's reconciled, accepted, someone points it out to you, and it just hits you all over again. That's shocking. If you gave someone your heart and they died, did they take it with them? Did you spend the rest of forever with a hole inside you that couldn't be filled? We are all alone, born alone, die alone, and, in spite of true romance magazines, we shall all someday look back on our lives and see that, in spite of our company, we were alone the whole way. I do not say lonely, at least, not all the time, but essentially, and finally, alone. This is what makes your self-respect so important. And I don't see how you can respect yourself if you must look in the hearts and minds of others for your happiness. Even death has a heart. Don't feel bad, I'm usually about to die. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end. The heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to, 'tis a consummation, devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come. When we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause, there's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office and the spurns, that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make. With a bare bodkin, who would fardels bear? To grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have, than fly to others that we know not of? Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment, with this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action, soft you now, the fair Ophelia, nymph in thy orison, ourselves